It's Anya with the Season of Anya, and today on my How to Witchcraft series, we are going to be discussing connecting with and choosing your tarot deck. So I'll have a whole plethora of tarot videos soon. But for now, starting with the basics. With that said, simply put, when you're choosing a deck, go find imagery that you like, that calls to you, that speaks to you. Are you a little goth? Maybe you'll like a cute little goth deck, right? There's dark feminine decks. There's like Adam's Family decks. I mean, I've seen them all, and it's cool. There's Game of Thrones decks. There's so many. You can go as kitschy, as deep, as dark, as light as you want to go. Angel decks, mermaid decks, right? I mean, options are limitless, never ending. And there's a multitude, right? There's not just one mermaid deck out there. What I would recommend doing when you're choosing a deck, go to your local witchy shop. First of all, it's always a good idea just to go to your local witchy shop, right? Support local. Try not to support Amazon, yada, yada, yada. But go to your local witchy shop because they're going to have a ton of decks there. Plus, you can actually look at the imagery in the deck because you might not always get a feel for a deck if it's got like, you know, 4 or 5 photos online. Plus, you want to feel it. Some decks are a little flimsier, not in a bad way, but they shuffle better, right? Some decks are a little thicker, heavier cardstock. And so depending on how you even shuffle your cards, right? Are you more of a or the folding method? That may all play into account. Plus, when you're looking for a deck, personally, especially if we're assuming this is kind of a novice approach, but when you're searching for your first deck, really look at the full imagery and see if it's image heavy. I've gotten some decks where I love the imagery, but I realize it's the major arcana that has the cool imagery. The minor arcana, like the pentacles, the suites. Oh my God. I will forever say suites instead of suits. Anyways, moving on. The pentacles, oh my God, the wands, etc., all the other suits are like, 6 pentacles, 6 wands. It's like, especially as a novice, and even still, like even a me, that does not speak to me. That personally doesn't help me hone in on my intuition, my intuitive practice. Because here's the thing. Yes, you want to get an idea for what the symbology, a little bit of numerology, stuff like that stands for. Sure, yes, absolutely. But also with some of these decks, there's a ton of pictures within the image, right? There's a ton of symbols within the image. You might pull that 6 of Pentacles and one day see, depending on the deck, of course, but one thing may catch your eye, and it might be the scales. Like if we're talking about the Rider Waite deck, you might see the scales, and that might resonate with you more than the fact that he is feeding the peasants, right? In that particular card. So being able to actually see the deck for what it is, I personally lean image heavy. Also, too, again, do the images make sense to you? I've had some decks where I love the artwork, but I'm like, I forget what deck it is, and it's so beautiful. And I'm not talking trash, but the deck has pretty but weird animals, like a flamingo, for example. That doesn't resonate with me. And that's why I've stopped working with it. Not because it's not beautiful, but it's like, all right, what am this does not, I pull a card, it does not call to me, it does not speak to me, defeats the purpose. Because you don't want to be leaning on the definitions too much. Because it's not this card right here, right now is the ultimate answer. No, it's about using that as a conduit of spirit, a conduit of your intuition to connect with it, if that makes sense. So with that too, especially if you're in the witchy shop or wherever, there's usually like a little guidebook that'll, yes, have the meanings and a couple spreads of them. Cool, whatever, use that as you will. But also read the story of the artist. Usually it's only like a, of a book this tall. It's only like one or two paragraphs, maybe pages long. But again, okay, this person is maybe even going through a similar journey as I am, right? This deck, okay, I get it. I get it. The imagery speaks to me. This resonates. Sometimes too, they'll change things in the deck. Like, for example, you know, instead of saying the King of Wands, it'll be the Spirit of Wands, or the Nymph of Wands, or the Warrior of Wands, and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff gives a different essence to the deck. So take your time when choosing a deck. When in doubt, don't be ashamed of going with a classic old school deck. It is a cool deck, it tells a story. Now, we're going to discuss a little bit on, well, one thing I want to say before we go there. I think this rumor or misinformation has been dispelled, but if you go on those groups, you do not have to be gifted a deck. Sure, if you are gifted a deck, especially if it's a secondhand deck that someone, a practitioner, a witch has used for a while and gave it to you, that is so rad. Like, take it, embrace it, enjoy it. However, there is no rule, there is no witchy handbook that says you must be gifted a deck. No. Otherwise all these like artists and creators would be out of business. So no. Now, more importantly, you have your deck, you're excited. Now what? I'm literally shuffling cards. Okay, this is weird. I don't know. A couple things you can do to connect with it. A lot of people, myself included, like to give it a quick sage, cleanse the energy off of it, right? Factory made without going there, but probably in less than stellar conditions, yada yada. Let's just get that energy right off of there. With that, well, as you sage it, you can bless it. Some people have a whole prayer that they want to say, or even a little ritual they want to do, and inviting the energy of a deck into their practice. Cool. If that's what calls to you, do it. Personally, I have a couple things I like to do. I like to put my decks in a nice little velvet bag. You can get like a 4-pack of them for fairly cheap anywhere. Usually I'll put a crystal in there just to kind of keep it here. And that's just kind of where I'll keep it. And then with that, when it's a new deck, depending on how I'm connecting with it, I'm either gonna put it under my pillow when I sleep with it at night. Yes, I really do that. I've done that before and it's really helped, but not before I play with the deck, right? Best thing to do, take one card out at a time, sit with each card and just soak it in. Especially the first time, it hits different, right? When you're working with a deck over and over again, you're like, yeah, I know this card. You tend to overlook things. But when you sit with the deck and kind of really soak in that awe and wonderment and mystery of the deck, it's magical. Sometimes too, look at the story that deck tells you. So you pull out, like, say, all the wands, ace through king. See the kind of story and the linear path that each suit takes you on, as well as the major arcana. Because again, different artists add their little twists and renditions to it. Keep your cards on you everywhere. Do a card of the day. Honestly, when I do tarot, especially for myself, I should say, when I do for myself, I might not always have like the world's most pressing questions, but in order to stay connected to intuition and to my practice, pull a card of the day and see how that applies to your life. Same thing goes with oracle cards. All rules apply. And yeah, hope that helps. If you guys want to see, I have a really good blog post on my blog, theseasonofanya.com. Just search the post, choosing your own deck. I have some great imagery on there. I have some tips, and I have decks that I've used that I like, that I personally jive with. If you want to learn more, go check me out on my blog. There will also be a link down below. And that's it for now. With deck is your favorite? I'm kind of ready for a new one, so I'd love to know what you like and why you like it. If you want to share. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you all on the next one. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and so much love and gratitude to you on this journey.